Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at 20 SNES games that still hold up today. Do we dare say some of these are still better than modern games? Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Super Mario Kart. To tell you the truth, we almost wound up not putting Super Mario Kart on this list. I mean, come on, who really has the patience for the amount of nonsense that AI pulls you through? There's only one set of item boxes on this course, Toad. It's impossible for you to launch 3 bananas in a single lap. Despite this, there is something rather comforting and fun about playing and replaying the first Mario Kart. Simplicity is the key word here, as the music and course layouts bring a basic, arcadey fun to the racing game genre. That and the multiplayer are what make Super Mario Kart worth coming back to, just not as much as the other entries we have yet to get through. Earthbound. To this day, Earthbound lives on in our minds because of the absurd visuals. We aren't just talking about the way Ness and pals move about in the overworld either. Tell us, what other RPG has you talking to 2-legged mustached men whilst fighting sentient cars and aliens with an affinity for pogo sticks? It's also an RPG that gets surprisingly dark in its narrative in contrast to the bright and cheery environments. But it's these surprises that keep us coming back to Earthbound every now and again. If only Nintendo would give the IP the time of day outside of Smash Bros. And the occasional Switch Online re-releases. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. There aren't too many non-Nintendo SNES games we keep revisiting, but we'd be remiss to leave out Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Kids today may dismiss this as that one meh game that Dad grew up on. As someone whose parents loved everything about the Goonies, I can understand that sentiment. However, Zombies Ate My Neighbors really does hold up well in the controls and combat. Whether you're playing on original hardware or on the port released in 2021, the game just feels really good to play between the different weapons and even just from moving around. Really, this isn't another Goonies situation. Our parents did have some taste in the 90s at least. F-Zero. If you aren't super compelled by Mario Kart for some tragic reason, then you might have been in the same boat as yours truly and preferred F-Zero. F-Zero is one of the very few SNES racing games that manages to age like fine wine every year. The controls are still spot on, and the course designs and difficulty are fine-tuned to an almost perfect degree. It's a really tough racing game, but it's one worth going back to about as often as one would revisit Super Mario Kart. Killer Instinct. Many fighting games got SNES ports in the 90s, and many of them sucked. But of them all, Killer Instinct manages to earn a supreme victory and do so easily. This console port is almost immaculate when it comes to controls and visuals, that it almost replicates the arcade experience to a T. The visuals, the moves, the technical performance, it all works insanely well on SNES. The only gripe some of you out there may have is the difficulty. The AI is really cheap and really unforgiving to a point where you may not even finish your ladder unless you bump down the difficulty. Unless you're just that kind of person that loves ramming your head into a wall. Regardless, Killer Instinct is the best fighting game ever made for SNES, hands down. Super Mario All-Stars. If you can't get past the 8-bit visuals of the first 3 Super Mario Bros. Games, for whatever reason, this collection is the best way to experience them. Super Mario All-Stars remakes all 3 games, as well as the Japan-only Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels with brand new graphics and music. And the best part? Super Mario Bros. 3 doesn't have that weird glitch screen on the right side anymore. Every game is just as playable as the NES originals, more or less, and they all look pretty good despite the collection being decades old. Super Castlevania 4. Out of all of the Castlevanias that came before Symphony of the Night, we'd argue that Super Castlevania 4 is the best of the bunch. This is the one that feels the most fair when it comes to checkpoints, knockback, and enemy placement. Because of this change in difficulty, Super Castlevania 4 has become the perfect starting point for new and inexperienced players. On top of all that, the sprite work makes the game look just as good as modern 2D games. Just don't expect this one to be a total cakewalk still. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. Now this game is somewhat of a cakewalk. To tell you the truth, Yoshi's Island is one of those games that will either charm its way into your heart or straight up put you to sleep. The biggest hurdle you'll ever have to worry about is getting Baby Mario back after taking a hit. Other than that, Yoshi's Island rarely ever forces you to get sweaty and stressed out. And that's kind of what we still love about it today. It doesn't ask for much, and it focuses more on providing a fun experience with imaginative levels. NBA Jam.
The rebound! Score!
If you're a hockey fan, sure, maybe the NHL games are some of the best SNES games ever made. However, in our eyes, the best sports game to ever grace the console was NBA Jam. Just like the arcade version, the sound design, graphics, and gameplay were way too fun for us to want to play other sports games. Hearing "Boom Shakalaka" and "He's on fire" helped get us in the zone when dunking and shooting for three-pointers. It really is a shame that they don't make games like this anymore. Now it's all about the simulation and look how realistic the players are. Brother, I have more fun shattering backboards as Pippin than I do looking at LeBron's sweaty pores. That is why NBA Jam is still the best basketball game ever made. Next to NBA Hang Time. Donkey Kong Country. Credit where credit is due, DKC2 and DKC3 are still a ton of fun to play, but not all of us are looking to suffer through grueling difficulty curves. We know DKC is challenging too, but it doesn't get egregious until the last third of the game. Overall, there is fun to be had in the minecart levels and trying to find the hidden bonus rooms, and by the time you get to the tougher levels, you have, hopefully, racked up a good number of lives to cushion the cheap deaths heading your way. If you prefer DKC2 or DKC3, more power to you. The OG just hits the difficulty spikes at a more acceptable rate for us. Mega Man X. Capcom was really running Mega Man into the ground by this point, but none of us expected an entire new spin-off that reinvented the IP. Mega Man X is still the blueprint many action platformers follow today, with with its plethora of different weapons, mechanics to encourage speedrunning, and creatively designed boss fights. Do we even need to mention the soundtrack, which still slaps harder than most modern games do? If you haven't already, you need to go play Mega Man X. Please, do yourself a favor. Live Alive. Now, this might seem like an odd choice on account of this game never seeing a release in the West. Indeed, Live Alive was one of those region-locked games that Westerners could only play by sailing the high seas, if you catch my drift. But regardless if you became an internet Jack Sparrow or if you played the 2022 remake, Live Alive remains one of the most captivating RPGs ever created. Before Octopath Traveler, this game had us bouncing between stories from vastly different time periods, and each one was telling brilliant stories centered on humanity and finding purpose in oneself. Please, go check this game out if you haven't already. It's one of the best JRPGs I've played. ActRaiser. Jumping over to another Square Enix gem, ActRaiser is one of those games where you're either going to get it or not. It's unique in how it blends regular action-based platforming with strategy and simulation mechanics. This was one of the first games to start blending genres, and it works rather well despite seeming confusing on paper. Our advice is that you just jump right into this game. If you like action platformers or games centered on managing cities, you'll enjoy ActRaiser. Trust us, it's best to jump into it than to try and have somebody explain it to you. Super Punch-Out! Those who found the original Punch-Out a tad too difficult probably found solace in this sequel. Super Punch-Out is much easier to play on account of the amount of sprites on screen, making it easier to read opponents. On top of that, the star system that powered up your punches was retired for this installment in favor of a single meter. This meter will slowly fill as the match goes on, and once full, you can try to land a single devastating punch. This change added a layer of strategy that the other Punch-Outs don't really have, which is why some of us prefer Super Punch-Out over the others, even if it's the weirder one in the series.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, fight!
Kirby's Dream Course. Regardless if you enjoy golf or detest the King's game to no end, there is not a soul on this planet that can turn down a round of Kirby's Dream Course. Players putt Kirby around small courses, bumping into every enemy until one remains. It's basic in concept, but the different layouts and gimmicks thrown in make this game insanely replayable. And if you ever have a friend over, Kirby's Dream Course will become a new competitive game for you guys to get mad at each other over. Chrono Trigger. There are so many reasons why anyone who enjoys video games needs to play Chrono Trigger. The story, the music, the combat, the character design, the environments, the boss fights, every bit about this game is going to become some of the most memorable moments in gaming for you, just as it has with many other folks. Fortunately, Chrono Trigger has long been stranded on the SNES. There have been efforts from Square Enix in bringing the game forward, but the PC port was just a shoddy version of the mobile version, which itself was poor quality. Here's hoping the original game finds its way to Switch Online, or just on all platforms would be nice. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. While fans of the 3D Zelda games will always sing praise of the same 3 games over and over again, fans of 2D Zelda games will always point to A Link to the Past as the best of this part of the franchise. And deservedly so. The sprite work for the characters and environments is breathtaking. The design of every dungeon boasts fun tricks and puzzles, and the music, truly some of the best the series has ever had. Honestly, this is one of the few SNES games we would never want remade or remastered under any capacity. It's perfect as is. Final Fantasy VI. Of all the RPGs you could possibly play from the SNES era, Final Fantasy VI is the one. This was the last of the original games that leaned more into the fantasy theme before the series went into industrial steampunk environments. And of the first 6 games, it's the best of the bunch. Terra and Locke have some of the most compelling stories in Final Fantasy history, and Kefka is one of those villains that you just love to hate. If it ever gets the Final Fantasy VII Remake treatment, expect the fanbase to go into a frenzy. Super Metroid. Though the original Metroid laid the foundation for shooter platformer games, Super Metroid was where the series went full force and found its true footing. From the detailed environments to the colossal boss fights, everything about Super Metroid was thrilling through and through. It is absolutely a must-play for anybody who claims to be a Nintendo fan, as this was a genre-defining game. One playthrough will only bring a deeper appreciation for future installments like Metroid Dread. But even then, there is one SNES game that anyone who likes video games owes it to themselves to play. Super Mario World. This is the one. Super Mario World is the SNES video game that everybody should play, and has aged gracefully as time marches forward. The levels, the secrets, the castles, the different paths that lead to new areas, it all creates such a beautiful experience where the adventure seems to always have something cool to show you. Heck, it's fun just running around and messing with the cape's flying mechanics just for giggles. Super Mario World is one of those games that is just truly timeless, beautifully immaculate, and above all, flawless in every way possible. But tell us, which SNES game do you find yourself coming back to the most? Let us know what you think down in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day.